The next deck building set in the TCG is going to be Valiant Smashers, releasing next month in November, introducing, like always, 3 new archetypes. Let's talk about them. So before we begin and talk about the new archetypes revealed in this set, which is going to be released in November here in the TCG, of course, check out my new Field Center exclusively with Chainlink TCG. This is a serialized metal silver Field Center with an amazing illustration of Ecclesia, Albion, and Mercurier. It's only limited to 100 serialized copies, so of course, each one of them is unique and one of a kind, numbered 1 out of 100. If you want to support the channel and support me personally, help me continue make videos, check it out in the description below. It really helps and support the channel. So this new set releases 3 new archetypes, Valmonica, Memento, and Centurion, and we are going to start with Valmonica. So Valmonica is a fairy/fiend pendulum archetype. Yes, pendulums are back, sort of, with pretty crazy link ones that revolves around gaining and losing life points. The Scales, Angelo, and Demone actually put themselves into your pendulum scales directly from the hand or deck by just discarding one other card, and alongside that it has amazing link ones that are just crazy. Valmonica also has a field spell that searches each one of the names, so basically you can just activate the field spell, search the name, discard another card, and just place your scales, and also has 2 pretty powerful spell cards in Skelta and Versara that search any Valmonica spell or trap or send it to your graveyard to set up your Link 1 plays. Each time you gain or lose life points while you have the scales online, you gain resonance counters on those cards. That way you can access a lot more plays and enable your Link 1s. As long as you have at least 3 resonance counters on the field on either one of your scales or both of them combined, you can link 1 into both Link 1 monsters that Valmonica has using any one effect monster, which is crazy. So you have the Odd Deity, which is of course a Link 1 that can pop monsters up to the number of resonance counters on your field if it's summoned, and it can also copy the effect of the Valmonica spell or trap in the graveyard. While the other one, the Divine Oddity, can protect your cards from battle and destruction by just removing resonance counters on your field, and also has the same effect that it can quick effect copy the effect of your Valmonica spells and traps in the graveyard. And with the trap cards like Guiding Rhythm that destroys a spell or trap or returns a monster on the field to the hand, or the Selecting Melody that provides targeting protection and also negates one monster effect, your Link 1s will have a lot of really good cards to copy from. In addition to that, since those Link 1 monsters only require one effect monster, if you want to perform some actions during your opponent's turn, you can actually use IP Masquerena and activate the effect using only herself as material, because it only requires one effect monster as long as you have at least 3 resonance counters on your field already. There are also some cards that provide some synergy with the Valmonica cards, with specifically regarding to gaining and losing life points. Duelists in the OCG have actually been using Performapel monsters like Flame Eater and Trick Clown to be used as discard fodder to take damage and get your counters on the field going. In addition to that, fairy engines like Diviner of the Herald and of course the Ishizu cards, yes, the Ishizu cards are back in this strategy as well, provide another layer of interruption that gets your cards into the graveyard, so you can set up your graveyard for your Link 1 plays, but also can gain you access to climb into the new Mannadium Trisukta, the Synchro 6, and then climb up into Visas Amritara to search Mannadium Reframing and gain an additional Omni Negate on your board. The next archetype we're going to be discussing is Memento. Memento is an archetype that revolves around retrains of really old cards, really old vanilla normal monsters that all have different types, attributes, and attack and defense stat lines. The Memento archetype actually works as a self-destruct engine, meaning you need to destroy your own cards to gain additional effects and advantage. Your goal is actually to load up your graveyard using one of your 1-card combos, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, specifically Memento Darkblade, which is probably the better one out of all of them, in order to summon the big Memento Nether Skull Dragon onto your field that has a whopping stat line of 5,000 attack and defense, a reborn effect, and an effect that allows it to attack all of your opponent's monsters in a single battle phase. Some neat interactions with the deck include some level 1 monsters, specifically the Memento Mace, that is also a hand trap that can target and steal an opponent's monster while you control the Nether Skull Dragon, or the Goblin, which is also a level 1 monster that gives your Memento monsters targeting protection. The main line of play of the deck is actually loading up your graveyard with as many Memento monsters as possible, at least 5 specifically, so you can shuffle all of them back to summon your Nether Skull Dragon, which is your boss monster, then combining it with cards like Memento Cranium Burst that forces your opponent to attack into your monsters, and if they attack into the Nether Skull Dragon, they lose a lot of life points, but also acts as a pseudo Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess that allows you to negate on-field monster effects by just reducing the attack of the Nether Skull Dragon by exactly 1,000 each time, which is pretty crazy. And of course, you also have the Memento Fracture Dance that just pops one of your opponent's cards if you control a Memento monster, but if you control the Nether Skull Dragon, it can pop an additional card. The Memento deck is not extremely powerful, but pretty cool to see a lot of retrains from the past, but it also has a pretty small engine, so you can combine it with a lot of powerful non-engine. Specifically because of all the monsters being different types and attribute, you can definitely do what Vanquished Soul does and just run There Can Be Only One to stop your opponent from playing. And then you have what you're probably here for in this video, Centurion. One of the coolest archetype, really cool artwork that could potentially go the distance with, you know, just amazing fan service because the artwork is so cool. This tiny engine is extremely powerful and is showing to be one of the top contenders in the OCG currently, with cards like Bonfire that is going to be released in January, I believe, in the TCG that allow you to search for any Pyro monster as long as it's level 4 or lower, and that gains you access to one of the many 1-card combos in the Centurion deck. And not only that, each of those 1-card combos actually leads you to locking your opponents under Archfiend King Calamity, and this is the main goal and main purpose of the deck right now competitively in the OCG. Primea and Trudea are both the level 4 Centurion starters of the deck, with each one of them allowing you to set up 2 Centurions as continuous spells and traps, and then allowing you to special summon them, increase their levels, go into the level 12 Synchro, which is Centurion Legatia, allowing you to draw cards and set up your field for your opponent's turn, where you eventually lock them out. On your opponent's turn, while you have the Centurions as spell and traps in your spell and trap zone, you can summon them as a quick effect, summon both of them, turn one of them into a level 8, then using your field spell when a monster is summoned when you control Centurion monster, you can quick effect Synchro summon on your opponent's turn, using both of them, go into the infamous Crimson Dragon, and now you have 2 level 12 Synchros on board, and you know what that means. You shuffle back the Crimson Dragon by targeting the Legatia, and then on your opponent's turn, you summon the King Calamity. And by that point, you just locked your opponent from playing altogether, and you have enough power and follow-up to just OTK your opponent next turn. Cards like Stand Up Centurion, which is the field spell, each one of the level 4s, and of course Emblem of Oath, which is the quick effect starter of the deck, are all 1-card combo to Calamity lock your opponent. Unfortunately, this is the main use of the deck, but I think as the deck evolves and maybe gets another wave of support, we're going to see a few different lines, and we're also sort of seeing that right now with engines like Horus being combined into the deck to provide you with additional negation, going into Xyz plays, and of course using them as level 8s to synchro summon into level 12. While this deck is extremely consistent and powerful and is doing relatively well in the OCG right now, it's a little bit easy to counter with cards like Ghost Ogre or even just generic interruptions on your opponent's turn that will prevent you from doing the exact one thing that the deck always wants to achieve, which is the Calamity lock. There are a few ways to stop that if you interact with the Crimson Dragon. It's pretty much over from there, but you need an additional layer of interruption on top of that. That's why people have been combining it with things like the Super Heavy engine in the OCG, and of course, as we mentioned, the Horus engine. And there's also some notable reprints like each one of these deck building sets, which is a set that the commons are actually rares and you have collector's rares, we also get a few reprints that sort of tie in together to the archetypes introduced in this set. So of course we have Gravity Collapse, which basically locks your opponent from playing altogether by tributing a synchro monster. How great is that? If your synchro plays haven't been toxic up until now, this card will definitely allow that. We have Supply Squad, which is actually funny. Every time a card you control is destroyed, you draw a card, which is pretty funny. You also have the Trick Clown, as we mentioned, Perform Pals, Performages. You want to gain and lose life points with Valmonica, so these cards are in the set as well as reprints. And of course, Stained Glass of Light and Dark. I believe this card is somewhere around Burst of Destiny, maybe like Dawn of Majesty era. This card is pretty crazy if you have a Fiend/Fairy strategy, so that's cool as well. And there you have it, Valiant Smash is releasing November, the next set in the TCG. You have Centurion, you have Valmonica, and you have Memento. Now you know what to do. If you want to pre-order this set, of course, drop over to tierzerogames.com, pick up a few boxes, and of course follow me on Twitter to know when the singles go live for sale. Of course, don't forget, as we mentioned in the beginning of the video, the new Field Center from Chain Link, serialized 1 out of 100 copies, super exclusive, amazing artwork, and directly support my channel. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.